For those of you who don't know me, and even for those of you who do, when I slow my pace down and get my judge's manner of speaking on, you know stuff is getting real. Can PewDiePie sue the Vox and the Verge for libel and defamation as a result of recent articles they've published? That's the hook. For those of you who don't know, PewDiePie is yet again embroiled in controversy because about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, he was doing a channel review on one of his daily videos, and he shouted out 25 or 28 channels, one of which apparently has a number of videos with hidden and not so hidden racist and anti-Semitic undertones and content. PewDiePie says he was totally unaware of the implications or even of the existence of these innuendo, and personally I believe PewDiePie because I had to go and watch a few of the videos on this channel whose name won't be mentioned just for the sake of it. I watched a number of videos, and some of them might be obvious to people who know what they're looking for, but I would accept the fact that some people, and a great many people, would not necessarily pick up on the innuendo and implications in a lot of those videos. So PewDiePie gives a shout out to this channel. The media begins running a relatively relentless campaign to the effect that PewDiePie is an anti-Semite, a racist, that he's using his channel to promote white supremacy. Now, whether or not you buy into any of this is going to depend on whether or not you actually believe that PewDiePie is a racist and anti-Semite or someone who promotes white supremacy through his meme reviews on his channel. Full disclosure, so you can assess what I'm saying with whatever credibility you think it has or does not have as a result of my underlying opinion, I like PewDiePie. I don't think he's a racist, I don't think he's an anti-Semite, and I don't think he's using his channel to directly or indirectly promote white supremacy. Period. Full stop. He's said some stupid things in the past for which he's apologized. I don't think that defines who he is for the rest of his life. I don't think that defines who he is as a human. That said, a lot of the comments in his video are to the effect of, can you sue the Verge and the Vox? Or the Vox? Can you sue the Verge and Vox? Can you sue the news outlets for publishing these libelous and defamatory articles? And it's an interesting question. Now, I told you I'm a lawyer in Quebec, and Quebec has different laws on defamation than common law Canada and the United States. Biggest caveat of all, nothing in this video constitutes legal advice. This is not a legal opinion. If you need a lawyer, go see a lawyer. Do not rely on me for any absolute legal advice or any meaningful legal advice. That said, here's an analysis of the overall 30,000 foot view state of the law in the United States. In order for something to qualify as defamation, it has to be false. It has to be prejudicial to the reputation of the individual, and it has to have been written or spoken with willful disregard or deliberate malice. Just to open up a parenthesis here, you have libel and you have slander. Both are defamatory, but libel is defamation by writing and slander is defamation orally. So, can PewDiePie sue the news outlets for libel and defamation as a result of the news that they've been running, branding him a racist, anti-Semite, white supremacist? In the States, in order to qualify as defamation, the statements have to be false. They have to be issued or uttered knowing that they are false or with willful disregard for the falseness or verifying the truthfulness of the statements. This is the same in common law Canada. In Quebec, because we are a unique province and are governed by civil law, which is a codified set of principles, one of the provisions governs and the provision of general civil liability, Article 1457 of the Civil Code of Quebec, governs defamation. You have to have a faulty act. You have to have damages that result from the faulty act, and you have to have a causal link between the act of fault and the damages sustained. So you have to have fault, damages, causal link. So, in Quebec, the statement or the utterance can in fact be true and still qualify as defamation. How mind-blowing is that? The classic example in Quebec law is someone publicly outing someone else as being a homosexual. They might in fact be a homosexual, so it's going to be true, the statement. But if it was uttered with the intent to harm, if it caused harm, and there's a causal link between the utterance of the statement or disclosure of that fact and the damages sustained, you can have an action in damages for defamation, even though the statement is in fact true. In common law provinces and in the States, the truth is a defense. With a small caveat that we're going to open up, the truthfulness of disclosing a private fact may not be defamation, but may lead to an action in damages for violation of privacy or for other reasons. Take, for example, a recent case with Hulk Hogan versus Gawker, where Gawker released sex tapes of Hulk Hogan. They were in fact accurate, bona fide, authentic sex tapes, and they were released on the basis of being newsworthy items, but it was deemed to be a massive violation of privacy, and Gawker was condemned in a trial by jury to $115 million in damages. They subsequently went bankrupt, and they ended up settling with Hulk Hogan by by paying him $35 million. So while the disclosure of private information that might be truthful would be a defense to defamation, it's not necessarily a defense to violation of privacy or other grounds of lawsuit. Now, another big caveat. Generally speaking, the freedom of the press has a lot more freedom to publish information that might turn out to be false, especially as relates to public figures, which is the flip side of this caveat. Public figures are expected to be subjected to more scrutiny, more articles, more coverage, and so just by virtue of something being false doesn't lend to an action in damages. Celebrities are leading a public life and sort of are expected to be subjected to more scrutiny than regular individuals, even if that scrutiny turns out to be factually incorrect after the fact. So where do we go with all of this? Does PewDiePie have a claim against the Vox and the Verge for these articles that they've been writing, painting PewDiePie as a white supremacist or a supporter or promoter of white supremacy? In order for PewDiePie to succeed on his claim, he would have to show that what they're saying is false, that they knew it was false, or that they ought to have known it was false. And one of the problems that PewDiePie would face if he took this claim on his face is that he's said and done things which someone can rely on to say, look, it's not outlandish on its face what I'm writing by virtue of things that PewDiePie has said and done himself in the past. It's very difficult to prove that someone knew or ought to have known that what they were writing was false, because when you call someone a racist or an anti-Semite or accuse them of supporting white supremacy, these are opinions. They're going to be opinions that are going to be based on however weak or strong the evidence that you're relying on is, but they're going to be opinions. So you're going to say he knew that his opinion was false and that it couldn't be reasonably inferred from the evidence that they relied on. Good luck. You know, there's enough prima facie evidence or articles or previous statements that a news agency is going to be able to rely on in order to say, look, I reasonably believed it when I wrote it. Above and beyond having to prove that the statements were false, that the news agencies knew they were false or ought to have known they were false, PewDiePie's going to have to show that his reputation has in fact been damaged and injured by the publication of these false pieces of information. That becomes a burden of proof on its own. A lawyer for the Vox or for the Verge can say, what reputation did PewDiePie have, a gamer who's done questionable things on his channel? What reputation did he have in the first place that we could have tarnished by publishing these articles? If you're PewDiePie's lawyer, you're going to say, yeah, sure, he had a reputation as a YouTuber and a gamer with a potty mouth, but he did not have a reputation as one who promotes and supports white supremacy, and by publishing these articles, they have in fact caused harm and tarnished his reputation. But the damages have to be proven. So all that to say, does PewDiePie have a claim? Yes. Is he going to go sue the Verge and Vox for these articles? Probably not, but maybe. Incidentally, celebrities have sued media outlets in the past for defamation and actually won. Keira Knightley sued a news agency who reported that she had an eating disorder and that her eating disorder led to the death of another young woman with an eating disorder, and she sued for damages for defamation and she won. Sharon Stone sued a media outlet for reporting that she had had plastic surgery, and Sharon Stone sued on the basis that the information was false, and as a result of it having been published, she was having trouble finding roles in Hollywood. Cameron Diaz sued for reporting that she had had an affair with her friend. She sued on the basis that the information was false and that as a result of its publication, her friendship with that friend suffered serious problems. So celebrities have sued for less, incidentally, and won. Before I forget, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, the little bell there, hit it. Tell your friends about the channel. We do law vlogs where I talk about things like this. And we do family vlogs, GoPros, fishing, cooking stuff. It's good. Where was I? Yes, celebrities have sued for less and won. Will PewDiePie sue? I don't think so. Strategically, I'm not sure what he would gain from it. One thing's for certain, if he does sue, I'm going to be there following it, and you're going to be the next to know if it happens. Peace out.